Good morning. It's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself. The other day we talked about why it's so important that you change your limiting beliefs and why that is everything when it comes to healing. But today we are going to talk about how we can change those limiting beliefs. So if you resonate with this message, give it a thumbs up right now, hit the subscribe button, and let's get into it. A limiting belief is where you think something limited about yourself. You are limiting your conscious awareness. Something is limiting your growth, your expansion, your evolution, and your ability to be living the life you want, to get what you want, and to live the life and embody the life that you actually want. In the video last week, we talked about how to find those limiting beliefs, and I'm going to assume you watched that video. So once you find a limiting belief, now we have to work at changing it. Step one is always awareness. It is always awareness, to become aware that you're acting from lack or you're acting from a limiting belief. Something that you believe is causing you to be in the situation that you're in, to create the life that you currently have. Okay, and it's usually a thought. It may be a conscious thought, but unlikely it's an unconscious belief that is driving your behavior, is driving your feelings, and is driving your thoughts. So let's go through an example. Let's say you found a limiting belief. I am a failure. This is a very common limiting belief. So if it's around chronic illness or your illness, I'm a failure because I haven't healed yet. Now it could be that you feel like you're a failure for another reason. I'm a failure because I don't have any money. I'm a failure because I don't have a good relationship. I'm a failure because I don't have the career that I want. I'm a failure because I haven't done XYZ. But in this example, I am a failure because I haven't healed yet. So we first become aware of the limiting belief. I am a failure. I'm failing at healing. I can't and won't ever heal. That is a limiting belief that you believe that you are a failure. And so once you become aware of that belief, you need to really look at it and pull it apart. I'm having a limiting belief right now that I am a failure. I don't believe I can heal. I don't believe I'm ever going to heal. Okay, why? So the first question that you ask after you become aware of your limiting belief is why? Why do I feel this way? And it's really important that you take, 5-10 minutes or longer to really investigate this part. Don't just notice the limiting belief and try to change it. It's really important we investigate it and we get to the why of it, get to the root of it. So why? Well, maybe the answer is because I haven't yet, because everything I try doesn't work, because I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I'm talented enough. I don't think I'm committed enough, because everything I've already tried has already failed, because I have some unique situation that exempts me from being able to heal in some way. I'm too special. I'm different. Nothing good ever happens for me. These are all reasons. So you keep going until you find the reason. Maybe it's one big reason or the reasons that resonate with you most as to why you feel like a failure. Because my mom always thought I was a failure, because I could never do anything right. Because I've been sick so long, how could I possibly heal? Wouldn't my body have already done it? Maybe you just don't believe in your body. It's like, I don't believe my body can actually do it. I believe I have these toxins that I can never get out, or I believe I have this infection that will just never go away. So get to the root of why. Why do you have this limiting belief that you're a failure? Why? And then once you have some reasons why, right, you have your supporting evidence. This is because you've created an identity around this supporting evidence. So this is key. Really understand this. Your answers to the limiting belief, your answers to the question why, are your supporting evidence. This is evidence that you have created in your mind to support the belief that you are in fact a failure, and that you in fact cannot and won't heal because you are a failure. So the why answers are the supporting beliefs. They are the reasons. These are the things that you have created, the evidence as to why you need to hold this belief as an actual belief. Because if there was no evidence, you wouldn't have the belief. So we have what's called a reticular activating system. And I might do a video on this alone. But what happens when we are creating our identity and we're creating our beliefs and our ego is being formed is that we hold a belief, okay? We choose to believe something, and then our brain, this reticular activating system, looks around for evidence. It tries to find supporting evidence that this belief is true. It doesn't try to disbelieve this belief. It looks everywhere to find why this belief is true, and it doesn't stop until it finds lots of evidence that it can convince you that this belief is true. The kind of evidence that it looks for is anything, right? It could create more symptoms, it could create a thought or an emotion. Whatever evidence it can convince you, you go, see, yep, that just happened. Like, oh, my symptoms just increased. Or, I tried this protocol and it failed. See, yep, there it is. There's proof. There's the evidence for that belief that I'm a failure and I can't and won't heal, right? We just proved it again. And we start to grow this belief through evidence. So the belief is usually subconscious, but when we're aware of it, we can find this belief. The part of us that looks for evidence is subconscious, but the conscious part is the confirmation. Oh, yep, there it is again. There it is, which strengthens the belief. So subconsciously, unconsciously, you hold these beliefs, we bring them to the surface, we're now aware of them, we're conscious, but a reticular activating system, the system which goes out and searches for evidence to support this belief, happens at an unconscious level. It happens at a subconscious level. But the confirmation, this is the important part, usually happens at a conscious level. Oh, yeah, there it is again. I'm a failure. There it is again. That didn't work. So we confirm the evidence that our subconscious puts forth, and we agree with it. We consciously, our subconscious offers it up on a platter and says, here you go. You just did another program and you failed again. Your subconscious, makes you feel sad and upset and like a failure. And consciously, you grab onto it and you say, yep, there it is again. Nothing ever works for me. Nothing ever works for me. I am a failure. You consciously grab onto it and agree with it, and that reaffirms the belief. It bolsters the belief. It grows the belief. And then your reticular activating system goes even further and it tries to find more and more reasons. It's never going to stop trying to find reasons to support this belief. And it is this circular, unconscious pattern that keeps the belief alive. So what we have to do is we have to work with the evidence. Because yes, we have a belief. But that belief, subconscious, unconscious, or conscious belief that we hold is instilled and grows and stays there because of the evidence that we confirm, we agree with, we allow to strengthen that belief. And so when you are reverse engineering this, what you must do is not confirm the belief consciously. Consciously, we must say, stop. No, I am not going to believe that. We must make a conscious choice to stop confirming this belief. And we must now challenge the evidence and tear down the evidence, tear it completely apart, break down the evidence so that the belief dissolves, so that the belief does not hold up anymore. We must become almost like a lawyer, step into the role of somebody who is questioning every little bit of evidence and trying to find the holes in all of the evidence so that you can tear this case down, tear this case apart, and show that the evidence that has been presented is not true. So that you actually then believe. And here's the key part. At first, we're consciously deciding not to choose to confirm this belief. After tearing down all the evidence, we actually believe that this belief is not true because we have pulled apart the evidence. So it's two-part. One part is a choice where we just simply choose to go on faith and say, no, that is not true. Just like a murderer on death row. You are just going to choose to believe in that person. I just believe, I have faith. They did not do it. I know they did not do that, right? I know that person. I grew up with that person. I love that person. I don't know how they got accused of it. I know I know that this court case, the evidence points everything against them. But I believe, and I am consciously choosing, even in the face of all the evidence that points that they did that, I just say no. I simply, in my heart, cannot and won't believe it. I do not believe it. And then the other part is the lawyer who goes in and says, I am going to pull this evidence apart because I know that this person didn't do it. And we are going to prove that this evidence is false so that you believe it too. You, the juror, believe it too. Okay? So we're working on it on both ends. We're working on it on faith for you to just not believe it anymore, to choose to have faith that that is not your belief, to instill a new belief, to choose a new belief that works better for you, and to hold on to it and support it as faith because you just know it and believe it to be true because that is what you want so badly. And then on the other hand, right, we go down and we tear apart all the evidence that holds this belief up as true. We tear holes in it everywhere we can so that every single juror member can see that this has been presented as false evidence, that this is actually not true. And now faith and evidence come together to form an innocent verdict, right? And to allow this person to go free, to allow you to go free, and to let the belief go and dissolve and create and hold the new one because you have believed it, you've chosen to believe it, you've gone on faith, you know it, and you have taken away all the evidence that supports anything else. And then you've created new evidence that supports this new belief that you want in your life instead. And that is how you change a limiting belief. Okay, so let's go through an example that's a little bit easier because the big one is the big one. I'm a failure, I can't heal, I'm never gonna heal. That's the big belief. Let's break it down and look at some smaller beliefs. Pretend now you have chronic fatigue syndrome and you have a very difficult time moving or walking. And you say, I can't even walk to the end of my block. That is the belief you hold. I'm never gonna be able to walk very far again. I'm exhausted. I'm fully exhausted. My body is definitely not capable of doing an hour walk a day because I have chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay, so you have this belief. I could never walk an hour a day. Why? Because I find it hard even to walk down to the end of the street and back. That exhausts me and wipes me out for days. Why? Because in the past, every time I tried, I had crashes. Why? You go through all the whys, you go through all the evidence, you see all the evidence that makes you believe this about yourself. So then you say, okay, I can see that I have a limiting belief that says I'm never going to be able to go for an hour walk. I'm never going to have normal energy again. That's your limiting belief. I'm just never going to feel like I have enough energy to do whatever I want anymore, ever again. Now you have all the evidence, you've gone through it, you know why, you have this supporting evidence, right? And you've confirmed it over and over 1,000,000 times. Every time something happens, you go, yep, see, I confirm it. That's why I'm never gonna be able to do this. You keep that belief alive, you keep it anchored in. So, in order to begin to change the limiting belief, you first have to find it, you first have to see all the evidence, and then you have to ask yourself this very important question. I see this belief I'm never going to be able to have normal energy and go for an hour walk every day again. That is my limiting belief. You need to ask yourself, is this belief something that I want to manifest in my life? Do I want to manifest more of this belief? If the answer is no, and I'm sure it will be, then you absolutely must, with a capital M, must change that belief. Because if you don't, you will continue to manifest more of it. That will be the energy that you manifest. You will manifest more of the belief that you will never have enough energy to go for walks again and to live your life normally feeling good. If you don't want to manifest that, you absolutely need to change that limiting belief. And so this is the work. There is no other work. If you don't want to manifest a belief that you currently hold, then you must do the work now to change it. So you write it down, you see it, you go through all the why questions. What is all the supporting evidence I have that holds this belief up? Because this is the work, that is the false evidence that you have. Or maybe it's even been true in the past, all of this evidence, but it does not make the belief true, right? Just because one piece of evidence is true. I went for a walk last week that was 3 blocks and I crashed afterwards, and it took me 3 weeks to recover and be able to get out of bed again. That may be true. That one piece of evidence may be true, but it actually doesn't equal. Therefore, I'm a failure. I'm never going to heal. I'm never going to be able to live a normal life, have normal energy again, and go for an hour walk. X does not equal Y. The evidence does not equal the belief. But your reticular activating system is smart. It knows you know that. So it presents many different reasons, many different pieces of evidence. And you assume that all of those pieces of evidence added up actually does equal that belief. But that is not true. It still does not equal that belief. So once you ask that question, do I want to manifest more of this belief? And the answer is no. You say, what belief do I want to manifest instead? So maybe the answer is, I want to manifest the belief that I can and will get all my energy back and go for an hour walk every single day with no issues. So that is the belief that you write down. This is the new belief that you want to anchor in. You have to know it. So it's usually the opposite. Whatever your limiting belief is, you want to have an opposite belief, the belief that you actually want, and you must write this down. You must know what it is that you want. This is the new belief that you want to anchor in. Once you know the new belief and you continue to say that belief, your brain is going to begin to look for evidence to make this belief true. And you have to consciously help it. Remember, it is stuck in an unconscious pattern of searching for the limiting belief. So it's going to continue to do that. So you have to consciously say, no, we don't believe that anymore. This is what we do believe. This is what we want to believe. This is what we're looking for evidence to prove now. And you must consciously continue to remind your brain that, and that's where brain retraining comes in very helpful, because you want to stop those old patterns and limiting beliefs. You know what now you want. You know your new belief you're trying to instill, and you're just basically, through brain retraining, reminding yourself, this is what we're looking for. This is the evidence that we're trying to build up. This is what we want to support. And you must consciously go out of your way to help your brain learn that it's looking for this new belief. Eventually, it will begin to look for this new belief subconsciously, unconsciously, because you've consciously done it so many times and reminded it so many times. So you are going to now consciously help your brain look for evidence. Oh, look at this. I went for a walk yesterday, and even though it was small, I wasn't exhausted afterwards. Or I thought I could only go to the mailbox, but I asked myself to go 20 steps further, and that was no problem. I did it with ease. Look. And then you consciously anchor that and you go, look, my new belief is true. It's coming true. I am going to heal. I can heal. I can do this. I can get all my energy back. I believe I can walk an hour a day and have all of my energy back with no issues. Okay, we're looking for evidence, no matter how tiny, to support this all day, every day. First, we are going to find all the evidence. We're going to tear holes in the evidence that you currently have to believe that this old limiting belief is true. So let's get busy, like a lawyer, tearing holes in the evidence. But you know what belief you want to instill, and at the same time, we are also beginning to create evidence for the new belief, for the new story, right? It's like a lawyer arguing in court. This isn't what happened. I'm disproving all this evidence, and I'm showing you what did happen. What we do want you to believe as jurors. This is the actual evidence that we're now putting forward. So you're sort of doing both at the same time. So let's get back to tearing down the limiting beliefs, tearing down the evidence that supports them. We have to question every single supporting bit of evidence that you have. Is this actually true? Does this mean that this belief is true? Does it mean because X is true that Y is true? Does this mean that I'm never going to be able to heal? Does this mean that I'm never going to be able to walk for an hour a day? Does this actually mean this? And if you think it does mean that, then you need to say why. Why do I really believe it means that? Because until you can change that belief, until you can actually disprove your own evidence, you are never going to change the belief. Okay, you have to change it inside. You have to question this belief and as to whether it really, what meaning you're giving it, and as to whether the meaning that you're giving it is actually evidence to support this. If it's actually true, why are you choosing that meaning? Why are you choosing to believe that this means that? You really need to tear this evidence down, not just for someone else to believe, like a juror, but for yourself, in your own heart. You need to really look at every piece of supporting evidence and believe at some level, no, that doesn't mean this. That doesn't support this belief. In fact, I've given it additional meaning. I've added it up with a whole bunch of other things to make it mean this. But looking at just this single piece of evidence, it doesn't mean this. You really need to come to grips with that on your own, because that's how you change your limiting beliefs. So, in a sense, what's happening is that you have chosen to believe all of this evidence. You've chosen to believe these limiting beliefs about yourself. And you have to ask yourself why. Why have I chosen to believe the bad? Why have I chosen to believe such negative things about myself? Why and when did this start? You most certainly weren't a baby that came into the world thinking you'd never be able to, go for an hour walk a day, or that you were a failure, or that you could never heal yourself, or that nothing you tried ever worked. You weren't this little kid who thought that. At one point, you believed in yourself. You believed you were perfect. You just embodied the joy of being alive. You didn't have evidence to believe that you were sick, or you were stuck, or you were a failure, or that everything that you tried didn't work. You didn't have evidence to believe that. Even when you were trying to learn to walk and the evidence was stacked against you, you fell. You could have developed a limiting belief that said, I'm never going to be able to walk, right? I fall all the time. You didn't allow yourself at that young age to believe, what's the point in continuing to try? I've never been able to walk yet. I've fallen every time I've tried so far. there's no point. I'm going to be the one person who's never going to be able to walk. I might as well, as a toddler, just stop trying to walk. You didn't think that. Even though you had much evidence, you didn't let that become a limiting belief. You didn't believe it. You didn't say that about yourself. You weren't born, you weren't a child saying these things to yourself. So what actually ended up happening was that you learned these limiting beliefs either by other people telling you that you weren't worthy, that you weren't good enough, that you weren't a success, or you had some experiences, you experienced some trauma or experiences that you didn't want and you couldn't stop. And it's just because sometimes bad things happen to good people. But somewhere along the way, either because you were told, or you learned, or you experienced something so traumatic or so life-changing, it changed your view of who you are. It changed your belief in yourself. It changed the love that you have for yourself. It changed that unconditional love and that sense of worthiness that you have in the world. But you are worthy, just as you were when you were born as a baby, just as you were when you were a toddler and a child. You are as worthy now as you were then. Only then you believed it, that you were worthy, and now you don't. Now you've let all of this evidence add up and tell you something different. And you don't have to believe these thoughts anymore. You don't have to believe unworthiness about yourself. You don't have to believe that you're unworthy, or that you're a failure, or that you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or you're not lovable enough, or it's too hard, or you're not worth it. You do not have to believe these limiting beliefs anymore. You can choose to believe something different, something more true about yourself. You can choose that you are the most worthy person you know, that you are and can be so successful, that you can be abundant, that you're worthy of abundance, that you're worthy of health, that you're worthy of creating the life that you have always dreamed of, and that you are worthy of every single thing that you want. And just like when you see a little kid practicing or trying something that is very difficult and too advanced for them, you don't say, well, you won't be able to do that anyways, why try? You say, go for it, try. You can do it. Keep practicing. You'll get there. You can do it. You can do anything you want if you try hard enough, if you practice long enough. Just because you didn't do it today doesn't mean you won't be able to do it someday. You can choose to say these messages to yourself. You can choose to actually believe them, because you get to create your beliefs. You get to cement them in. You get to choose the one that is more empowering and stop believing the ones that are disempowering, that are keeping you stuck, that are keeping you living the life that you are living, that you actually do not want to live. You need to choose empowering thoughts, thoughts that can shift you and change you into trying, into believing in yourself, into knowing that you are worth it. Because you are. I'm telling you you are. You absolutely are. And now you just have to believe it too. You have to allow yourself to believe that you can do it, that you absolutely can and will, and that you deserve it, and that you're worth it. So when you are accepting something as truth, whether it's an emotion or a story or a limiting belief or a thought, whatever it is that you are accepting as truth, you get to reject that. You need to reject it. You need to reject it and not accept anything as truth that isn't actually true, because you get to choose a new belief. When we accept something as true, we build beliefs around it, and we don't have to. We can reject it as true. We can say something different to ourselves. We can choose to believe in ourselves. We can choose to uplift ourselves, to love ourselves, to tell ourselves the story that we can and we will, to tell ourselves the story that we're worth it, to tell ourselves the story that we deserve it, that we're worthy, that we're loved, that we're accepted, that we're abundant, that we're everything, that we can do this. And you can reject anything, any thought, any feeling, any emotion, any story that someone tells you or that you are telling yourself. You can reject it if it's not what you want. If it's not the thought that you want to manifest, then you get to reject it. And so it all begins with unconditional love for yourself. Because if you choose, and it is a choice, to love yourself unconditionally, then you believe in yourself. Then you will choose to believe the truth. You will choose to believe what you want to believe. How much you love yourself unconditionally, that is a choice. Feeling worthy, that is a choice. Believing in yourself, again, that's a choice. And I know I'm making it sound easy by saying you just get to choose it, but what if it was that easy? What if you could just choose it? Because you can. If you are sick right now with any kind of a disease, with any kind of chronic illness, with any kind of pain, mental, emotional, whatever problem you are going through, you can choose to believe that you can and will heal. That is a choice. You get to choose to believe whether you won't or you will. You get to choose that. You get to form your belief. Are you going to believe that you can and will, or that you won't and can't? Because that and that alone is in your hands. You have the power to choose that, and it is a choice. You get to believe that you will heal. You get to believe that. And when and if you do believe that, your brain, your reticular activating system, will start to look for evidence to support that everywhere. Your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind, your conscious mind, you will all be in alignment, and you will look for evidence everywhere that you can and you will heal. And when you do this, you will begin to actually heal, because you will begin to take action from the place that you can and will. You will begin to choose thoughts from the place that you can and will. You will no longer resonate and continue to look and uphold the belief, the limiting belief, that you can't and won't ever heal. You will stop looking for evidence of that everywhere. You will stop taking action from that place. You will stop letting yourself fall into victim consciousness because of that belief. You will hold a different presence about yourself if you believe that you can and will. You will have a different energy. You will take action from that different energy. You will do whatever it takes. You will find a way to heal because you actually believe that you can and will. So choose to believe in yourself. Choose to love yourself. Choose to have faith. Choose to deeply know that you can and will heal. Even if the evidence is stacked against you, even if your circumstances don't change, even if the evidence doesn't change yet, continue to hold the belief. Continue to choose to hold the belief until you begin to find evidence to support that. And this evidence will mount, this evidence will grow. Allow this evidence to get bigger and bigger until it takes over and the old belief must crumble. So go on faith until you have the evidence. Don't wait for the evidence to go on faith. You must choose first. The evidence will follow. Once the evidence follows, the belief will change forever. And so I know this was a long one. If you stuck with me to the end, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, say I stuck with you to the end. I know this is such a long video. I don't know if anyone makes it to the end, but if you did, then know that your desire to change your beliefs is there. And now all you have to do is choose it and implement it. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you will choose to believe that you can and will heal. And not only can you heal, and not only will you heal, but you get to have and live the life of your dreams. Hold that as a belief. Find evidence for it. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next video.